how to communicate with a difficult spouse. In today's podcast, we're going to talk about some of the things you could do to smooth things out with your spouse, just so you don't find yourself in a situation that you don't want to be in. So stay tuned.
Hey, Mr. Friends, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode, y'all. I'm your girl, Cece, the one and only Cece here, and I'm joined by my handsome husband.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Will, and welcome back to another episode of the Blissology Podcast. If this is your first time with us, this is a weekly podcast.
And where have you been? We've been around.
And in this podcast, Cece and I, we talk about
love, life, family, relationship. Y'all know what we do here. You guys know what we talk about here. So glad to have you here.
And just a reminder, if it is your first time, please remember to subscribe and hit on the bell icon so we can let you know when episodes like this one come out. We don't want you to miss out on our silliness, but also some of the goodies we share with you.
Yes. So guys, before we get into today's topic, you guys know what we do next. We like to go into our blissful moment. So babe, what's your blissful moment?
Well, I had a moment this week. I don't know if I can classify it as blissful, but it was an eye-opening moment for me. And here's what happened. My youngest daughter has had this loose tooth for the last 4 or 5 months. That tooth just refused to come out. We recently saw an orthodontist, and he's like, "You got to remove that tooth. It's been loose. It's moving."
But it's not going nowhere.
Like, I just take a little yank at it and it should come out. I was wrong. So earlier this week, I'm like, man, we got to go see the dentist next week because there's some other stuff they got to do. But they're like, you got to make sure this tooth comes out because it's been loose, but it needs to fall off. My daughter and I, we had 2 sessions. And afterwards, I realized that, actually, the tooth's still there. It hasn't come out yet. But after having the sessions, I took a look back and really thought about the way that I was acting. Obviously, I put a lot of pressure on her to allow me to pull the tooth.
Belt.
And I realized that I was thinking as a grown-up, it's no big deal. It's a loose tooth. I should be able to get in there and wiggle it a little bit and pull it out. Mm-hmm. But I had to start thinking, and to her, as a child, how does it feel? She was terrified. Mm-hmm. And I realized that throughout the whole moment, I completely dismissed how she was feeling. Yeah. It was all about, I need to get that tooth out.
Right.
So, my realization was, as parents, sometimes we got to be able to take a step back and really take into consideration how our children are feeling, especially when we're doing things that may affect them.
Right.
Yes, it's a loose tooth. Listen, I've had a tooth extracted before. I'm not afraid of pain. I can deal with it. She was terrified. Mm-hmm. Until now, if I get close to her, she's like really, really apprehensive about me coming in and potentially try to play with that tooth. Now, I think within the next couple of days, I'm going to be able to get the tooth out. But I want to take a different approach because I realized after the last session we had, I hugged her. Those are sessions. I'm talking about sessions. I pulled her close, I hugged her, and I let her know that, daddy's not looking at her. This is the reason. And she felt a little easier. Mm-hmm. But at one point, I was screaming.
Yes, you were. You were like hollering. I was like, babe, come on.
And that's silly of me for thinking that if I can instill fear in her, she'll let me do it. But what that did was it really terrified her.
It did. Yeah.
So this is me publicly apologizing to my daughter, but I've already said sorry to her that we're going to take a different approach. And the last session we had, because I had told her from the previous one.
Was it the belt session?
No, the belt was the one prior, but I told her that I need you to wiggle the tooth throughout the day. Mm-hmm. When I got home, she was like, "Daddy, I'm sorry. I wanted to surprise you, but the tooth wouldn't come out." So she was wiggling the thing, but she didn't spend the whole day wiggling it. I know she didn't. And I don't know if that would have made a difference. But, as a parent, sometimes we think fear is the answer to everything, and that's not the case.
It's not.
Sometimes we have to show compassion.
Yes.
We have to show understanding.
Yes.
And we have to show that we know how they feel, and really help them understand that this is not to hurt them, but this is to help them. Because that tooth's been hanging out there, and God knows what could potentially get in her gum.
Yeah.
We need to get that tooth out.
Yeah.
So Cece couldn't watch. I mean, even Cece got scared.
I did, y'all. I went in the bathroom. My husband locked me and my oldest daughter out. Like, y'all can't come in. And my daughter was like, let me just come in and play some song for her favorite LOL music. And my husband's like, no, get out.
Well, yeah.
And I was like, okay, baby, I got to go shower. Get out. Everybody get. I was like, okay. Even I was getting yelled at.
Well, I was determined to get that tooth out.
I was getting yelled at.
Any distraction. Because what happened was when she sees mommy, she broke out into even more tears. Like, mommy's going to come rescue her.
And I do.
I felt for her. And
yeah.
I was in the moment.
You were. In your daddy's moment.
She needed to know that I was serious about getting the tooth out, which I still need to get that tooth out.
Yes.
It's hanging on one little string. It is, sometime today, I got to get that tooth. We have a meeting. We have an appointment with the doctor next week.
Yeah.
And I cannot go in with that tooth still hanging.
Yeah. So you did feel bad.
Yeah, I felt bad. But hey, listen, sometimes we got to do what we got to do. Yeah. We just have to find the best way to do it. And if we need to learn, just learn from what we did. And see, she's right there dancing and she's making Cecil laugh. I'm coming for that too.
She just ran off.
But that was my moment. I think it's I have to be mindful that these are children, and children are children, and there are certain things that they fear. And if we can find ways to not lead with just fear, and sometimes they need to fear stuff. Believe me, there are things that they need to know that those are non-negotiable. Daddy will get on me if that happens. But there are times as well we have to understand their feelings and do the best to help them get over whatever they need to. So that's my moment. I'm going to become a compassionate dad.
No, we don't want you to be that.
I don't want to be that either.
No, we want that side of you. At the same time, we want the side that says, yeah, if I do this, daddy's not going to be happy side of you.
Oh, yes.
I think every dad has that. And I feel like sometimes some dads don't have the compassion side. They all about, I'm going to scare you away. I'm not going to show affection.
Kids sometimes need to be scared.
Yeah, like I said.
Believe me, they will still get that scare from me.
Yes. What I just say is that some dad has both, where you have the compassion side and you have don't play with me about my daughters because I'm going to do somebody wrong. Or you'll be angry if you daddy's going to be upset if you do certain things. Yes. That kind of side too. So listen, I know my dad not to play with my dad, because I know if my dad yell at me, I'll be crying. Just one yell and I'm in tears.
And listen, let's get into the topic of the day. That's so much for my my moments.
I'm hoping some
of you can relate when you need to get your kids to this stuff. But anyway, today we are getting into a topic that I think many of us can relate to.
Yes.
Even me, some days I can relate to that.
Listen, he already called me difficult. He looked at me and I felt some type of way. I was like, what? I know I can be difficult. I know I can be, but so you think you're not?
Me, I'm easygoing. I am easygoing. But yes, like I said, we can all relate to that. We all have had to deal with some difficulties.
Yes.
Some of us more than others.
Right.
And now we know that, navigating through rough patches, which is there with any partners that you're going to run into that.
Yes.
Know what it feels like, and hopefully find ways to navigate through it.
Yeah, the storm. Sometimes it feels like a storm.
Of course.
Sometimes it feels like my partner don't listen. I mean, dealing with someone difficult, it's a lot. Imagine on every day.
Journey. Hey, listen, I'm hoping that today we can share some valuable insights, some tips, and some potential strategies on how to help you weather those storms.
Listen,
I mean, we've weathered my own little bit of it, and I'm fortunate enough that it's not something that's like I'm constantly having the weathering.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna speak for the ladies. Yes, we can be that type of woman where we nags and we're bickering about things, and sometimes we can have different communication styles. And don't get me wrong, I can read my husband. I think he can read me too. After 14 years of marriage. And I think sometimes it can be difficult when you're not able to read your partner.
Yeah. And it can be from, that can emerge from a number of things. It could be maybe constant bickering.
Right.
Maybe we have different communication styles. Mm-hmm. Maybe sometimes our priorities are conflicting.
Yes.
Is dealing with a difficult spouse or a difficult partner can take a toll on,
of course,
both of you.
Yes, mentally.
And that's mental.
Yes.
And emotional, and maybe even physical.
Yes, all three of them. Yes, I agree. And I think sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do.
Let's kick things off by discussing some of the common signs that may indicate that you're dealing with a difficult partner, a difficult spouse. Yes, I agree.
Am I difficult, baby?
She can be.
Am I difficult to deal with?
She can be.
Okay.
I'm not. I mean, I'm not gonna say, hey, listen. There are times that I'm always easy. Yes, there are times I can be difficult, and sometimes difficulties does happen.
Yeah.
But when it's a constant thing, that's where the problem comes in.
Yes.
Like you're constantly being criticized.
Yes.
You nitpicking at everything.
Yes.
When nothing seems to be good enough, that's where the problem starts.
That's a red flag.
Another one may be you show lack of empathy for your partner.
Right.
You're so quick at dismissing anything that they may brought up without even thinking about it. You're like, just cut them off.
Yeah.
There's a problem.
Yeah, there's some partners out there who don't really, take time to see where you're coming from, see your feelings, or have concern about the things that you want to do, have concern about where you want to go in life, right? And I feel like sometimes these type of partners, yes, they're not easy to deal with. They're not easy to deal with at all. And I know that it's something that can break someone, and sometimes it can break your relationship.
Yeah. It's essential to remember that in relationship, there are challenges.
Of course.
Whether it's the bickering, whether it's the communication style, whether it's the priority conflicts, there's always difficult times. It's inevitable. If you're in a relationship, you never have some difficult moments, then someone's lying to each other.
Hey, listen.
But what's important is how you choose to address those moments.
Yes.
Because bad time will happen.
Yes.
What you do about it is what makes the difference.
That is so true. That is so true.
I'll say one way to handle difficult spouse.
Okay, why are you pointing at me?
Is to practice empathy. Put yourself in their shoes and try to understand.
Yeah.
That has saved me a whole lot of headaches. Even right now, sometimes I do miss it, but I keep reminding myself, listen and try to imagine if it was you.
Yes.
What would you have expected from your partner?
Right.
And what would you have wanted them to do? And yes.
I agree.
So practice empathy.
Yes. And I think sometimes some of you guys don't have that. And some of you guys don't practice it. Some of you guys don't put yourself in your spouse's shoes or your girlfriend, boyfriend, if you're dating someone.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's so important for you to understand how they truly, where they're coming from.
Yes.
Because if you don't switch it, you will never see where they're coming from. If you don't be like, if you're not thinking, oh, I see what she's trying to explain to me, or I see where she's coming from. Because a lot of times y'all always so quick at shutting us down. When I mean us, I'm talking about the ladies. Y'all always so quick at shutting us down. Oh, it's a woman thing, or it's your hormones, or it's you, where you don't really put the effort to listen. And I want to say this. Remember that empathy does not mean you have to agree with me or them. It just means you acknowledge my feelings and you see where I'm coming from.
Yes. So that's saying that you can disagree, but I don't have to fight with you just because I disagree.
Right.
I can understand where you're coming from, but that doesn't mean I have to do what you're asking.
Right.
And it takes really understanding to be able to do that.
I agree.
Because people these days are very quick at putting up the defenses the moment that they disagree with you.
Yes.
And that tend to lead into like fights. No.
Yes.
It's okay for us to have a difference of opinion.
Yes.
That doesn't mean I don't like you. It's just that we see things differently.
Right.
And I try to see where you're coming from. I just ask that you try to see where I'm coming from.
Correct.
My goal is not to convince you.
Right.
Because sometimes we always want people to do things.
I've been trying to convince him sometimes. I'm not going to lie.
And I remind her that.
I do. And it's okay if I try. But he has you on the other hand is like, oh, no, you're not going to do all this because you're not going to try to come. But sometimes it's okay for you to have your own way of doing
I've
things.
reminded Cece, and sometimes she's reminded me because sometimes I can come across strong on certain things.
Yeah. Most of the times.
We've learned and we've grown onto to the point where we can have a conversation about things we disagreed on.
I agree. And I also want to say this. I know sometimes, men may have like a stronger way of talking to us ladies. But at the same time, we also have a voice, not to let our men talk us down, right? We also have a voice where we can speak what's in our mind and say the things the way we feel certain things. Now, don't let a husband or a boyfriend belittle you or bully you.
Yes.
Because that happens in life. And I think it's important for you to be able to have a discussion with your partner and be able to say, you know what? I didn't like what you did.
Yeah, you should. And empathy can go a long way when it comes to dealing with really tense situations.
Yes.
Those nerve-wracking moments. And if you can deal with those situations, what it allows you to build a deeper connection with your partners, because when you've gone through tough times and you weathered it out and you worked through it, you're golden. you are. Now, as you go through these things, you'll find that it's important to set some boundaries.
Right.
It's important to communicate your needs and boundaries clearly and respectfully.
Yes.
Because this means you're expressing what you're comfortable with and what you're not. And at times, be willing to compromise when it's necessary.
Yes. No, there's some boundaries that's, to me, it's just
non-negotiable.
Yeah. And at the same time, too, when you're dating someone, you have to really like, is this really a boundaries? Is this really like something that, that you really feel like you are going to commit to?
I mean, you have to be honest when you're setting these boundaries. Don't just say it because it sounds good or maybe you've heard someone do it, but be honest with yourself, because your partner is expecting you to be honest with them.
Yes.
So if it's something that's a non-negotiable for you, by all means, lay that it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, and I think boundaries are very good. I mean, it's good in a way because it helps you maintain healthy balance in any relationship, not just marriage, but if you're dating someone new or you with someone that you feel like, hey, I need to set some boundaries. And I think it's good for you. It's going to help you grow. It's going to help the relationship stronger.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of balance, it's important that you and your partner and your spouse can find some common ground. Even if your spouse disagree with you on certain things, but if you look back, you can always find things that you've agreed on.
Yeah.
And let those be the foundations of your discussions. Because it's a lot easier to look at the things you have in common, the things that you see the same. And it is the things that you see differently on. So don't let those disagreement be the highlight of your relationship. Right. Because after all, you're with this person to live together for many people, a very long time. For some people, just a year or so. Wow. But if you say you want to be with this person, focus so much on the things that you see eye to eye on. And yes, there will be things that you don't see eye to eye on. And that's where that empathy comes in, understanding comes in, just to make sure that you can go through these other things. Finding common grounds can help build trust. It can help strengthen the bonds that you have between you each other as a couple. Like I can tell you, Cece and I, we see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. When you can have those things that you agreed on, you trust each other, and together you become a lot stronger. Now, time is important when we have tough conversation. Very important.
Yes.
Like when in settings like this where we're calm and relax, we can have any types of conversation. But imagine I just had a stressful day. I just got home, just put my bag down. That's not the time to have. That's not
we
the
need to
time.
talk.
No. Because at that time, I
moment.
am not in the right mind to actually have difficult conversation. Because if you choose to have conversation with your partner when they are at that state of mind, you're bound to get to no resolution. In fact, it's going to become a bigger problem than what you started with. So pick the right time to have this difficult conversation.
Yeah, I agree. And not in front of the children. Because I think sometimes, even though sometimes when my husband and I, when we argue about certain things and the kids are like, oh my God, mommy and daddy, you are bickering, you know, or they have a certain words for it. Not bickering. They have a certain words for it. But I think it's important. We could just disagree on some things. And then of course, if they're around, they're going to pick up on that. Yeah. And I think it's important, especially if you guys have like a very much heated conversation or argument, it's good to not do it in front of the children and in front of, you know, people in general.
And if it happens to have gotten started, it's okay to pull the kids on the side and explain to them why.
Yeah, which we did.
Because listen, you can go and have that conversation in a different room. These kids would hear you.
Unless
right?
if you've been loud.
So, and it's okay for your children to know that you disagreed sometime.
Yeah, but here's the reason why I said not in front of your children, especially if there's names being called, if there's like
you're cursing,
right. That you have to respect the kids, whether if they're like babies, young kids, whatever age they are, you have to respect them, right? Because I know we don't use certain language in the house, and therefore when we argue, we don't call each other name. We don't call each other out, and you know.
She may call me a big head or something, but that's the extent.
I don't use the word big head. That's you, your sister, and your brother use that word. I don't ever call people big head. It's y'all.
She's been wanting to call me big head.
I don't. I think it's just weird calling people big head.
Anyway, but yeah, it's important to pick the right time.
Yeah.
To have. Well, not so much heated conversation, but difficult conversation.
Do it at dinner time. Like, hey, let me take you out to dinner. Like, you know, where are we going? I don't know, but we're just going to take a drive. It could be a drive too. Like, hey, let's go by the beach. And when you know we're going by the beach, you know it's that time. It's that moment.
We're gonna you out on your stuff.
We're going to have that talk. I like going by the beach. And I think when we go by the beach, we do talk about certain things. And I think it's calm and it's refreshing. And it makes the weather... Like the conversation feels very peaceful.
Well, it's calm. You could be arguing, but because of the environment, it doesn't seem like you're arguing. You're just having a conversation. So, but pick the right time is important. Avoid from bringing difficult situations or difficult conversation during high stress moments, because you're setting yourself up for disaster.
Yes. And listen, y'all, we've talked about communication a lot on this podcast here. And y'all, we talk about practice patience, okay? Patience is so important. And a lot of us don't have it.
Patience and persistence.
Yo, yes.
Now, I was born patient, so I am good.
That's a lie.
I just don't do well with time. If I have to be somewhere at a certain time, I need you to be ready to go. But anything else, I'll be patient. Listen, I could be in a line and it's getting long. I am good. If I have to go do something where I'm just gonna leave and go do it. I'm not the type that you would hear complaining why it's taking so long.
Yeah,
now, sometimes it's necessary because there are some people that think, but I'm not that type. And yes, if I happen to go somewhere and it's taking forever and that's kind of how you function, I'll probably leave and never come back unless it's something I absolutely have no other choice. Then I'll figure out a better time. But it's important to practice patience in a relationship.
Yeah. I don't have that, and I'm practicing that. And I think it's hard for a lot of us to practice being patient because it's something that, especially for us women, we tend to like
want things done.
Yeah, like why isn't this happening? Why is it not done? But I'm very persistent.
Now, although I said I'm patient, this is not me saying that we should be lazy and not get things done when they're supposed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
This is me saying that if you're in a relationship and for you to be able to understand your partner and to have a solid relationship, it's okay to let time be on your side.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is not the right time to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe delayed, maybe for a day or so, or maybe don't put so much pressure on your partner because you may want this done yesterday.
Right.
But for the type of person they are, maybe they need a little bit longer.
Yeah. And my mom has this thing when I'm like, being very like, why is this not happening now? And she always said, Rome wasn't built in one day. Okay. It wasn't built in one day.
Your mom's got wisdom.
And she's like, you gotta be patient with things in life. And it's true. And I feel the same way for like a relationship. Like if you want to have a healthy relationship, you gotta know this is not gonna happen one day you wake up and boom, oh, everything is magical. And everything takes time. When you look at a baby, right? For us to be what we are, it takes time and it takes patience and persistence. And of course, you got to put all the effort and work into your relationship for you to make it happen, for you to make it work.
Oh, yes. What's important is that when you're being patient, you know why you're being patient.
Mm-hmm.
You're being patient because you're working on something that will benefit all of you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, trying to get things done in a hurry create unnecessary stress.
Yeah.
And
I think it's everything in life.
And when someone's stressed, they're not their best self.
Yeah.
So again, this is not me preaching that we need to be lazy and don't get things done, but be mindful as to the level of stress that we're creating in a relationship. Sometimes we got to be able to take a step back.
Yes.
And says, you know what? Maybe I want this done yesterday, but I could see some value in waiting until tomorrow.
I've been reminded with this every day, almost every day, with my business and myself. And I know one thing I got to do is be patient with myself. Yes. And I think it's the same thing goes for anyone, is to be patient with yourself and your spouse, and I think it's important. And I think it's important for you to not give up on working towards, better communication. Yeah. Right?
Better communication, better relationship. That's where it all leads into. So patience are the key ingredients.
And persistence.
Don't forget that persistence. Yeah, this woman is persistent.
I'm a mother's daughter, okay? I'm very persistent.
When she wants something done, whether it's for her or for the house or for the kids or for
my parents last weekend.
She is on it. So, but patience and persistence are a key ingredient to any relationship, successful relationship, that is.
Yes.
So if you find that you don't have those in yours and in your relationship, find ways. Because when you talk about being empathetic to your partner, you have to be patient to be able to listen to see where they're coming from and be able to put yourself in the shoes and really feel them out. If you're not patient, you will not give them the time to actually get to that point.
Yes. And I think sometimes, dealing with a difficult spouse or partner, it may be hard and it may be easy if you take the time to communicate the things that are not working, the things that are working. Yes, if my husband was like going out every night, with his homeboy, I'm like, babe, I'm home with the kids and you never really like home, then it's gonna take some talking
to get to the point where I realize that maybe I should cut down on the amount of time that I go out.
And even if it doesn't work, even if we communicate and still not working, we're gonna seek professional help, right? Because I think spouse or your partner, if you're dating someone, it is so important that person that you're talking to can be fixed. He can be fixed. I'm gonna throw it on him because he can be fixed. And I think we just need to really put the effort to make it work. Like if you're doing something wrong and you know I don't like it, you know we're going to have to talk about it. And if you don't want us to talk about it, then stop doing it. Right? Yes, I understand sometimes there's some guys out there that their head is a rock. It's hard for them to listen to their spouse. It's like it's a my way or the highway type of man. And I truly feel like for couples out there who have their type of spouse, it's like my way or the highway. It's something where you're really going to have to get a professional help to come into this relationship. Or call Jesus to bring your husband or your spouse into a better view and better way of seeing things.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know, there are resources available to help people that are dealing with things that are beyond their capabilities to handle.
Yes, I agree.
Take advantage of those things. You know, use the resources that you have available to you, and don't ever let your pride get in the way of you seeking help.
Hello.
Help was created for a reason. And remember, communication takes practice. But with time and effort, you can create a stronger and a more fulfilling relationship with your partner.
Yes, I agree.
So, you know, bear in mind that your partner's with you because they chose to be with you. And I think deep in their heart, they want to be with you for some time.
Yeah.
Now, we all have little things that may not quite be how our partner wants it to be. But I think if we allow ourselves to work on it together, we can make it better.
I agree.
So your partner is not hard-headed. Just need to keep working at it.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, your woman's not that difficult.
Okay.
You just need to understand her better. Or maybe she is that difficult. In that case, I'll let you decide what you want to do. But, you know, again, as I mentioned earlier, there are resources to help people get through their differences.
Yes, I agree.
And leverage those in your relationship.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm sure deep down, you love each other. Doesn't matter how difficult it is.
Yeah.
And if you think I'm lying, think of the best time you've had with each other. Look back as to how happy you were.
That's true, babe.
And how much fulfilled you felt at that time. So guys, this is all we have for you today. I'm hoping these tips that we shared with you, or those things that we shared with you, can give you an idea as to how you can potentially deal with your partner. I know empathy is a big thing for me in terms of being able to really understand where my wife is coming from and allow me to not be judgmental, but be supportive.
Hey, I like
so,
that.
Hey, listen, appreciate you guys joining us today on this podcast. If it's your first time, remember, as I said way earlier, subscribe and hit on the bell icon so we can let you know when. Yes, like, share, and whatever else you do to let people know that we exist. So we appreciate you guys. We thank you. And please remember to join us next Saturday, because we do come out every Saturday.
Yes.
So until then, stay connected, stay blissful, and remember, love always wins. So peace.
Bye.